How's it going, G freaks, the sci-fi fanatics? I would like to welcome everyone who is watching to the one-on-one live stream series round two. And stepping into the ring with me is none other than the Love Doctor, the King of Swing, an upcoming content creator all the way from the UK, and a man I consider family. Kevin Lambert from Entertainment HQ, and the link to his channel will be in the description below, guys. And so, my brother, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining me on the second round of one-on-one with the Sci-Fi Sciciety.
Well, thank you for having me, and as always, it's a blast. I love being on your channel. I love when we do with streams, and like you say, the feeling's mutual with you, my brother. You're like family
Yeah,
to me too.
yeah, brother. What did you think of the intro?
Oh, absolutely amazing, yeah. I especially like just the end with the Godzilla roar, because as you know, the Godzilla roar
Yeah,
is it's iconic, and the first roar was the first thing I ever heard when I was a kid. In that, as soon as I heard the roar for the very first time, that was it. I was hooked. And
yeah,
obviously, I've got
man.
to represent 1954,
Yep,
the
yep. We gotta
iconic
represent.
scene where
Gotta represent.
he's got the
Yep.
train in the mouth. I've also got the good old pop vinyl, my first ever pop vinyl I ever bought. Had to be, of
Yeah.
course, our main man, and as you can see, they've even got the image of him in the back.
Yep, exactly, man. And I should have brought it down, but I got the my NECA figure on top right there somewhere. And what's up, little Loki? Looking at the comments, what's up, guys? And here had to bust this out, my Master Collection version of Gojira, both the 54 original Japanese and the American 1956 version with Raymond Burr. And yeah, my brother. And yeah, bro, I'm glad to have you. We had to do this. And yeah, but okay, so guys, we will be covering, as you guys can see, and breaking down the iconic film that started it all. Started it all, the sci-fi epic Gojira 1954. And this has been a long time coming, and I've been waiting for the right time to cover this film, especially with somebody who loves it probably more than I do, and that's of course Kevin Lambert, Kaiju Goodness, aka Kaiju Goodness, and especially for November 2023 and the
Yeah,
anniversary of Gojira, the 69th anniversary.
yeah.
Oh, my brother, man. So yeah, bro, I'm on. It's we're gonna get down and break down everything what we really love about the film, how it impacted us. But first, I want to ask you the questions since it's one on one
Yep.
with
I'm
with
waiting.
with with Kaiju Pathetic Goodness. So I wanted to ask my brother, I mean, you already know this story, but people who are watching also going to want to know the story. So how did you get into Gojira and your history with this amazing?
Oh, well, mine happened a long, long time ago when I was around 8 year old. It was a horrible, it was in the summer and it was in the middle of the 1990s. I was 8 years old. It might have been 1992, but that might have been the year. Was that I always remember it was the same year that I think like Batman Returns came out because I
Oh
was a
yeah,
big Batman fan as well.
yeah,
Well, anyway, it was a horrible night. It was raining, it was windy, it was horrible. My dad, he went off to work because he used to work night shift, and there was me, my mum, and my brother all crowded around in the living room. It was lovely and warm, nice, and the fireplace was on, and because it was a Friday night and I was young, I was probably about 8 year old. On a Friday night, I didn't have school at the weekends, so she allowed us to stay up late. And I remember on Channel 4, Jonathan Ross, who's a massive presenter here in the UK, he's married to, I think, Jean Goldsmith, who wrote Stardust a few years ago. She's wrote a few other things. Well, he was just starting out at the time, and he was doing something called Jonathan Ross at the movies.
Yeah.
And it was like on a late night, and because I think it was around the October time, Halloween and all that, he did something called the Creature Feature Week. And it was the very first week of it. And I remember I was sitting like where I am now on that side, cuddled into me mum. My mum was in the middle, and my brother was here. And I always remember the screen just went black, and the next thing you saw was the black and white sign come up on the screen. And then I heard the iconic roar for the very first time, and it was like my ears and that, and I stood up like my eyes wide open, and it was like I was like a meerkat. I was like I was entranced. And the next thing I know, as the film progressed, I was just totally fascinated with it. And at the time, being a young kid, you didn't realise the significance of what the movie was. Obviously, when you're a kid, you just see this large dinosaur-type creature destroying cities, and you're in awe of it. But obviously, as I've gotten older, it's made me appreciate what the film actually is and the message behind the movie. And obviously, it's the one that started a franchise. Hello, my brother. And obviously, without this impact of that particular film and the messages behind it and the kind of tones that it had within it, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it today. Or, like you say, nearly 69 years of Godzilla. Who would have thought 69 years of Godzilla? And we now have the American franchise on top of the traditional Toho series, which is going strong today. 3rd of November, you've mentioned it, it was Godzilla Day in Japan, and we had the release of the newest entry, Godzilla -1.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly, man. And that, well, it's like I said, well, I was going to answer the second question, but you pretty much just said it too, because the second question was, well, that's the impact, the lasting impact that Gojira 54 has had on you already.
Yeah.
You know, so you answered two questions. You answered two questions in one. So, I mean, dude, it's what I'm saying. It's like you answered both questions. So it's already had the lasting impact. And you told me, and you said about the first time you saw it, and that's crazy because I saw it around the same age. I was about eight years old. And what is up, Jedi Grand Bell, my brother, Sexual Chocolate? What's up, brother? And what do you call it? But no, I saw it around when I was 8 years old, because you guys already know that I saw Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster first, so I was already introduced to Godzilla already battling other kaiju. So that, but when I saw this one, I wasn't, like you said, we're kids and we're not comprehending how much of an impact this movie makes when we're that young. So, but I was kind of like, oh, it's just Godzilla. Well, I want to see Godzilla fights. You know, I don't want to see just Godzilla. You know, but anyways, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the great thing is, it started off with a very serious tone and a very serious story. The first ever film. And I've noticed whenever there is a film that just features Godzilla on his own without him fighting any of the other kaiju, it's always a significant film that has a strong message that needs to be told. And I think a lot of people don't get that side of Godzilla because, excuse me, like, everybody just remembers Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah or Mothra or Mechagodzilla, and obviously we love the fighting, we love the battles, we love kaiju on kaiju action, but I've always loved a lot of when you just see Godzilla on his own and you see the sheer terror that he brings and what the messages behind his impact on like the world, like what we see happen in Japan during the course of this film, then what happened in the Return of Godzilla that came out. We're seeing the impact of that, and then obviously with anyone who's seen the trailer or hasn't, I do recommend you look up Godzilla -1 because the trailer for that, it's set in a very similar tone to this one, so it just shows that even years down the line, the impact of Godzilla and the messages he can tell are still important today as they were back in the day.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was also going to mention. And before that, before I get to some deeper parts of this film, when like you mentioned about the guy that was hosting those shows that you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like when I watched the first time. My parents recorded it for me on VHS in 1988, and it came out on TNT, and I think it was Super Scary Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and no, I think it was TBS, and that's when I first saw it. No, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. It's just that it wasn't for me. It wasn't as much because I usually get used to watching Godzilla fight other monsters and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But it wasn't until I saw it like in when I was older that I really appreciated the
yeah.
message, the metaphorical impact it has. And speaking of that, it's like Tomoyuki Tanaka had mentioned that this film is actually a strong metaphor for nuclear weapons and post-war Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it has such significance. And a lot of the people, the Japanese people who went through all of that, that's why they gravitated so much to the message and they related to the
Mm-hmm.
film because it was just such an amazing it was an amazing film, but yet it very much connected to the people who went through what happened in post-war
Yeah,
Japan. And,
yeah.
and that's go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just agreeing. Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you think about it, when they were thinking, obviously, the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms came out, and that was such a big hit that Japan filmmakers wanted to have a similar film. But what they
Yeah.
didn't realise at the time, where when they just thought, oh, we're just going to make a sci-fi film, a sci-fi blockbuster, just to cash in on what was going on with American cinema at the time in the 1950s, which was all about the over-the-top science fiction at the time. They
Yeah.
didn't realise the film that they were in the producing and creating would be, like you said, a metaphor for the nuclear radiation, the nuclear bombs. They took elements from, the Lucky Dragon number 8, I think, or 5.
Dragon
Yeah,
Lucky, yeah, Lucky Dragon number 5, and the
yeah,
impact of what happened in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
yeah, yeah. So that's why this has such a like cinematic history and significance, because they went from having this small science fiction blockbuster that they were just trying to cash into actually creating a film with such an amazing, important message.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have to remember the film wasn't supposed to have a sequel. It was just a standalone story talking about the impact of nuclear fallout of the Japanese nation. Had hence back to Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And yeah, yeah, hey, Jedi Grandma
Yeah.
knows. Like I said, bro, you know your stuff, bro. You know your stuff. How many times have we talked about this all to ourselves, man? And now we're just showing it live, but people
We're
will see.
educating the
And
people.
exactly right, right. And oh yeah, man, but that's true. And now we'll move on to the cast and the people in the background that made this masterpiece happen.
Hmm. Yeah.
And we'll start with the starring cast, and that is, of course, everybody who's watched this movie knows it's. But I'm just going to mention it anyway. It's starring Akira Takarada as Ogata, and um, we call it Momoko Kochi as Emiko Yamane, and Akihiro Hirata as Dr. Serizawa, and Takashi Shimura, Seven Samurai as Dr. Yamane, and Tomoyaki Suzuki as Shinkiki. It's hard, bro. And
I know. I'm.
Shinkichi Yamada.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm tongue tied right now.
No, I'm glad you. I'm glad you were doing the names because I would have fucking butchered them. But
And yeah,
and
but now we can't forget.
the fact that they've got one of the cast members who was also in another um, part of film history, such a significant film, Seven Samurai.
Yep.
That is that is another film from Japanese film culture that has had a long lasting inspirational impact on modern day cinema.
Exactly. That was Takashi Shimura, and Shimura-san came out in that movie, and he tore it up in that movie too. But now, okay,
Yeah.
now we get to the real heroes behind the scenes and the creators, and I'm going to start with, of course, Haruo Nakajima-san and Ishiro Handa-san, Iji Tsuburaya, Tomoyuki Tanaka, and Akira Fukube, who just made this film that much more iconic, spectacular, epic, and yeah, man. I mean, all of us who are true Godzilla fans all know who all of these people are and their impact that they make on these films. And now, my brother, I'm gonna start off with you. So we all remember everyone who's watching. It's a long film, man. It's a very long film, and we're doing the Japanese 1954 version. So
Yeah.
I'll let my brother Kevin Lambert from Entertainment HQ start off first, and then we'll move on from there, brother. Start off with this film, man.
Right. Well, like I say, right in the beginning, when you get the film scroll at the beginning with the Toho logo, and then you obviously get the amazing roar, and you get that shot of the ocean, and the just Gojira comes up on screen. As soon as you see that, you know you're in for something iconic.
Yeah, exactly. Then go ahead, keep going.
And then obviously it starts off when you see the Japanese freighter, the Ikimo Maru, I think it's called. It's destroyed near Odo Island, which is another ship. The Bingo Maru is sent to investigate the destruction of this freighter because they don't actually know what's happened. It's just been destroyed. But obviously you kind of get the idea of what's happened because you hear the roar, you see the freighter, then you just see like an explosion, and I think you get that scene where the sheer terror of the crew on the ship.
Yeah.
On the ship, and how they've witnessed something terrifying. Which, as you can imagine, if you were on a boat and you were sailing in the middle of the evening and you were looking out of the water and something's standing out of the water, how terrifying that would be.
Oh, yeah.
So, obviously, they start to investigate, and after they start to investigate, only to meet the same fate with few survivors. So, so the investigation didn't go well, and obviously there's a handful of survivors. And after that happens, there's a fishing boat from Odo is also destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also destroyed with one survivor. Fishing catches what am I trying to say, like,
Yeah, it's like I know the Ever
It's
since
like
that happened, yeah, ever since that happened, the fish had either became scarce and they pretty much left the
and the
shores and all
fishermen
the
just couldn't cut. Yeah, they
yeah, they couldn't
just
catch any.
yeah. So obviously straight away you're thinking there's some sort of environmental incident going on,
Yeah,
and obviously then there's the elder in the village who then starts talking about this ancient legendary creature by the name of Gojira,
yeah,
which really kind of sets the tone of what we're, you know, there's a there's straight away, straight off the bat, it set up this huge mystery. You've heard the roar, you've seen the destruction of the boats. There's something happening within the water around the fish, and now there's an elder, the village, is now telling you about this apparent legendary creature called Godzilla. And then, of course, you get the reporters arrive on the island, on Ordo Island, to further investigate. A villager tells one of the reporters that something's in the sea,
yeah,
if you remember, and it's ruining the fish. And then you have the storm, and this is one of my favourite eerie scenes, is where there's the vicious storm, and you can hear like noises, and you can hear the rainfall hitting the buildings, and then all of a sudden you get like a glimpse of something, and then Godzilla arrives, and he destroys the village, and you just see the homes destroyed. And I think there were so many villagers killed, and I think some of the livestock was killed, and there was about 20 survivors. So straight away, once again, it set the tone of the sheer terror of what is happening within the world of this picture, this film.
what is up, Rob from E.T.N, the E.T.N guru, man, the main man from E.T.N. What's up, brother? Yeah, man, thanks, and we're gonna try our best, bro, and do this movie justice. And yeah, man, thanks for stopping by, and appreciate the thank you, and we'll do our best, man. You too, man. Have a great day, man, and have a great night, and whatever you whatever you're into, man. You're always busy. That's what I know. That's what I always remember, man. But yeah, bro. Thanks for stopping by, man. Much appreciated. And yeah, and then okay, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, man. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No. So obviously so then you've had the destruction of the village, and then the residents of the island demand help from Tokyo,
Yeah,
and that's when they want, like, you know, like whenever there's a natural disaster, they want they want some relief sent to help out, and that's when more reporters start to arrive, and they start listening to all of the evidence that's been put together, and you know, you just see signs of like the aftermath of what's going on, which is like obviously because of the radiation that's come from Godzilla and that. So, do you want to carry on?
yeah. I'll just go back to mention some stuff that you didn't mention. Uh, we were already introduced also to Ogata and Emiko when Ogata found out about, I think it was the Bingo Maru, no, the Ikumaru, and then he had to go and find out what was going on. And a lot of the townsfolk were like, "Hey, what happened?" You know, a lot of their husbands, sons, are workers. You know, they work on those, you know, on those frigates. They work on those frigates, and then we get back to again to where the storm hits, and then that's when the helicopter of the reporters and the cameramen totally demolished. Godzilla. made a presence, his presence known there, and that's when I think it's one of the other characters loses his mom and he loses his brother in the aftermath of the destruction, and then we go to Dr. Yamani, who goes to, I think it was the Odo Island. Was it? I think it was the Odo Island to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. To investigate, and then they find the footprints of Godzilla, and they're somewhat radioactive. And he finds a trilobite, something that's been extinct for millions of years, and he found it there in modern day Japan on that island. And yeah, man, and you're right about them. They were asking for and then there was also people say their goodbyes to one of the ships that Okata and Emiko was on, and that's when we first get our first glimpse at Dr. Serizawa with the iPad. So no, man,
Yeah.
there were so many. Yeah, there were so many good points that you referenced, and then I'll get to the point where I'll start off where this is where Godzilla makes his first actual appearance on
Mm-hmm.
Island when they start. I guess the individual that lets everybody know starts ringing the bell saying, hey, something's coming, and that's when Dr. Yamani, Emiko, and the photographers start looking, and they have the cameras, and that's when they first take a glimpse at what Godzilla looks like, and then even Dr. Yamani says, "Oh, look, man, it looks like I think I just saw a creature that comes from the Jurassic era,
Mm-hmm.
so." It was crazy to see them at first. It's like, oh man, everybody's flipping out. They're running. They're they're running for the down the hills instead of up the hills. They're running down the hills, and
And that
it's
that iconic shot of him hanging over the hill, and he's
yeah,
looking
exactly.
down. And then I think is it Emiko's just lying there, or somebody's lying, and they're just looking up in sheer dread and terror of what's in front of them.
Yeah,
It's like these iconic shots are what make the movie stand out. These kind of shots, and
yep,
it's the tone of the film. Like the sheer tone that it's set, which is the tone of a feel of dread and horror, and it's a very grim movie
yes,
throughout the tone of it. And then obviously once I've seen the actual creature, and they're like basically in shock of what they've witnessed.
yeah, exactly. And then we go on after that to see what Gojira actually looks like, and then they go to, of course, their form of government to talk about what they saw, what's going on. A lot other frigates, a lot of other ships have been missing and gone missing,
Yeah.
and everybody's wondering what's going on. The people have to know. Tokyo has to know. Everybody in Japan has to know. They shouldn't just keep. They want to keep this under wraps, but the majority of people there want to know that, look, man, I think it's the right thing to do is to tell people. There's going to cause a panic, but hey, but people have the right to know. This is
Mm-hmm.
where the form of government, the plot takes over. And it's like you just said. It's very grim. Hardly any to know any kind of humor. It's a very serious movie. Very serious movie, as everybody who knows and loves this movie watches it. And I also wanted to say, Brian Sanchez, thank you for stopping by again. E.T.N, Rob, thanks for stopping by also, bro. Thanks for the encouragement. And yeah, I mean, and then they put it all over the papers, and then people are not taking it seriously, but then people are like, well, you know what? Maybe this is maybe this is real, maybe it's not, but we're already, we're already post war. I don't want to have to evacuate anymore. I don't want to go through this, do that. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to. They're tired of all the BS that happened. During the what happened in the war, post war. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just it's such a, and it's like I said, even in the beginning, man. It's very hard to see any humor in this film. Everything is to
Mm-hmm.
the T when it comes to. It has horror aspects, sci-fi aspects, drama. It's got
Mm-hmm.
satire, everything about it. And then I wanted to get to the relationship between Ogata and Emiko, which is also
Yeah.
pretty, it's pretty substandard, man. With the fact that Serizawa is or Emiko is already promised to Serizawa, and he's also, what he went through during the war and everything. And Okada and Emiko want to let Dr. Yamane know, hey, you know what, I don't think I think this is, I want to show my feelings. I want to tell, you about that I love your daughter. I don't think that she really loves Serizawa, even though back then it was still very common for people to be already planned or promised, especially Japanese women, already to a husband, already planned marriages. So that was, see, that's also drama. There's the drama aspect to it. And Dr. Yamane to me seems like he's more into his work, bro, and I don't think he could care less. I don't think he
Yeah.
could have. I don't think he could have cared
Yeah.
less about Wakata
Well,
or Serizawa.
because that's the other beauty of this film. It's not just a monster movie or a movie that has a metaphor for, like you say, the use of the nuclear fallout. It's also, like you say, it has character driven stories
Yes,
that are mixed in with that other element, which, like you've mentioned, the kind of the tug of war love story.
yes,
And then, like you say, if you look at the likes of Zarazawa, even though it was never, there wasn't a diagnosis, he probably has suffered from, post-traumatic
post-traumatic stress.
stress disorder because of the issues he had during the war. And now, having this creature, Godzilla, it's a constant reminder of basically trauma he's already been through.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, you want to. So now we're gonna get to the part where the reporter heard about Dr. Serizawa from another unknown source, and this is where Emiko and the reporter go to speak to Serizawa to get more information on what he studies, what he's working on. And you want to take it from there?
Uh, so this is Dr. Zaraza, where they go to visit him at the home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where they go to
Yeah,
visit at his home, and this is
yeah,
where he tells Emiko it gives her the lowdown on what he's working.
yeah. So obviously, the reporter goes and tracks down Zarazawa, and she's basically wants to find out what he's been working on or what he knows, and he's kind of very off. He doesn't really want to talk. He doesn't really want to see anything, and I think originally he refuses to even discuss what he's been working on.
Yeah, he does it. Yeah,
Um, yeah,
he plays it off. He literally plays
yeah,
it off
he
to the guy.
literally he's like very guarded is the word I
Yeah,
would say. He's
yeah,
very guarded. He doesn't really want to talk about what he's been working on or have any sort of discussion.
yeah,
And then he agrees to finally give Emiko a demonstration. And this, for me, despite all of the Godzilla scenes, I think some of these scenes, quite frankly, are just as disturbing and are just as important because he decides to demonstrate his recent project that he was keeping a secret, which when she sees the demonstration, which is I think the large fish tanks, and he releases the oxygen destroyer basically, which is what
yeah,
he's been working, and you see the fish and things start to disintegrate and things, and the sheer horror on her face,
yeah,
and she leaves, and without mentioning of like you said, they've got the story about the drama aspect, the people driven story of her being engaged, and she doesn't she decides not to tell about the engagement, and then shortly after that particular scene, Godzilla then surfaces in Tokyo Bay.
yeah. His
And
first
when
sighting, his first landing.
Yeah, his first landing and he attacks. Is it Shinagawa? He
I
attacks
think it.
Shinagawa.
You have to get. Yeah.
Yeah, he attacks Shinagawa, and after attacking, he attacks. This is another. This is where I think you got that iconic shot where he attacks the passing train,
Yeah.
and he has it in his mouth, and he's just standing there, and you've got that great shot of him with the train in his mouth, and then after he attacks the train, he returns back to the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, like you said, it was one of the better. The what There's so many iconic parts in this film, but that one, of course, the beginning of Godzilla's first landing was very impactful, and it just showed the sheer size and mass of Godzilla, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, I mean, the cinematography, everything, even if it's movie magic, was shot well done for the
Mm-hmm.
year 1954. And I mean, it's and then even, and you know what I really like about that too is that they even show what I like about Ashiro Honda and his vision, and all of them, Subaraya, Tomoyuki Tanaka, they all, with, like, you could tell when Godzilla's when he hits on the tracks where the train is coming, right, and even they even show the impact it makes when all the people fall forward, like when
Yes.
all the people inside of the train car, all the people
Yeah.
fall forward, and it's like, that is like, man, like for 1954, that it doesn't get any better than that when it comes to visual effects and just practical effects. You know
And
what I
there's
mean?
still
Getting
in it, yeah. And if you think years down the line, if you watch things like Star Trek, where you've
Yeah,
got the crew on the bridge of, say, the Enterprise in the middle of a space battle, they would do things with the camera angle. So they would go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 action, and they would make all the cast jump to one side and then turn the camera so it would make them look like the ship had been knocked sideways like that, and
yeah,
the crew would move, the actors would move when the camera moved, so it made the shot of it look like they fell forward or fell backwards on the bridge of the Enterprise. So what you've just mentioned there about the passengers on the train getting knocked, and they would have used a similar technique to create that scene. So it just shows you back in 1950s the impact that had, and they're still using the same kind of camera work and direction with the actors to create these iconic scenes. And
yep,
like we mentioned, the fish tank scene where Dr. Zarazawa shows the impact of the oxygen destroyer, and you see the disintegration of the fish. That was obviously also, for its time, so unique and different. In the actress who plays Emiko, it's everything's what I always say, there's verbal acting, and then there's acting with you, then there's physical acting. And
physical, yeah, physical act.
the great thing with her is it's her face, the expressions on her face, the physical actions during these scenes, like on the hill looking up, seeing Godzilla for the first time, screaming. Then this scene in the laboratory, and you see the sheer terror on her face when she's actually seeing what's happening. That pulls you in, and it carries the story forward. And like you say, and then you went from that to the first sighting, which, like you say, it's iconic.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it's like Walter had just mentioned right here. He said that it shows that it shows just the amount of destructive force that Godzilla is. They can't say displays. It's just that's what he is. He's a force of nature. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first landing is what demonstrates how strong, how big, how powerful, just mass, how massive he is, and just the right impact he does with the trains, the cinematography, like we talked about the train card and everything, and Emiko's character. Momoko's her her acting, physical acting, and even the sound effects, like when she cries and hugs
Mm-hmm.
Serizawa, you just hear that. I'm like, oh shit! Like you don't hear that shit. You don't hear none of that no
Yeah.
more. That has
No.
that has been that has stopped for a while. Now everybody just wants to stick with just doing, they want to just do these new modern takes. But that when I watched it yesterday, I was like, man, they don't do that anymore. And of course, they stopped doing it a long time ago. But it's like watching this movie just brings back the retro feels and makes me want to appreciate cinema back then just even more. You know what I mean? And
And
go ahead.
like you say, that is why I think a lot of people are bored with modern cinema and they're turning back to the classics. People are
Yeah,
sick of Marvel. People are sick of this, Star Wars, the mediocre storytelling. It's all about big bucks and special effects. Where this, for its time, not only at the time would have been a big buck special effects film for its time, but it also was a film with, like we've mentioned 1,000 times, with a very strong, important message, and it carried the tone of what that message was from start, middle, and end. You don't get films like this very often now. I would say the most modern one that we've had was Oppenheimer, which came out
yeah,
this year. That that obviously is about a similar thing. It's obviously about the creation of the first atomic bomb. So,
yep,
and Christopher Nolan did it. So he obviously would have had to tell that story with a certain tone in a certain way to make it relevant and significant and to stand out. And because in the 1950s it was post-war Japan, there was still like tension between, the East and America, the
East to
West.
West. Yeah,
So yeah, so they weren't allowed to make war films. I think they weren't allowed to show the US in a bad light. So this was a great way of going about it by creating this force of nature, this beast, this character of Godzilla, and like you see, because they've done it in such a unique and really intelligent way, it clearly is left this long lasting impression.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's just that it's like, okay, going back to what you were saying, it was about, man, I had it right at the top of my head, like Oppenheimer had something to do also with the post-war Japan. Is because what happened in which when this film was made, the wounds were still fresh from post-war, from what happened in the war. So
Mm-hmm.
what did they go off? What did they go off of? They had to go off of what they were feeling, what they were going through. So that's why Ishiro Honda and Eiji Tsuburaya were like, you know what, let's make this. This is there's not everybody's talking about it. We're still trying to deal with it, but yet let's make something from it. Let's create something from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that's why it made so much sense to do it, because the wounds were still fresh. And like you said, not only where was Japan like banned from making war films, some of the films that I think Ishiro Honda had made, that were, of the war, of the World War, that were done solely out of miniatures. They were done with miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody from the United States had actually saw that and thought it was actual war footage. They thought it was actual war footage, and they went to. I think they did. I saw it in the documentary. Said I think they had went to or try to get into contact with Japan. Say, hey, you guys go make none of that. It's like, man, we're not making none of that. That's all miniatures and models that we're making it out of.
Mm-hmm.
That's how realistic and
Mm-hmm.
that's how real it looked.
Yeah,
Especially in black and white.
and a modern day trilogy that followed the same idea, The Lord of the Rings, it had miniatures, it had little bits of effects in there, especially during when they're running through the mines of Moria. They had loads of miniatures, and
Yeah,
they basically photoshopped the actors running down the stairs and placed the footage of them on the miniature set. And that's why you see The Lord of the Rings is a modern day classic now, and it's a modern day film that a lot of people consider one of the best trilogies of modern cinema. And like you see, even back in the 1950s, like you've just said, they thought it was real war footage, and it was because of how well it was made, how
Yep.
well it was filmed.
Yeah. And what where at that time this was the beginning of suitmation. Godzilla 1954 was the pioneering catalyst to what we now know as suitmation, but now being taken over by sucky ass CGI. But it was that's what it was, man. That's why not only are we just talking about we love talking about this movie, we're talking about what this the impact of this movie, the pioneering aspects that it's had on cinema, not just in Japan, but Japanese and people from the United States were inspired by Suitmation. You know what I mean? So that's what I love talking about. And yeah, bro. But like I said, we'll stick to where I'm already getting just excited just to keep talking about it. But okay, we'll get to the part where Emiko and Ogata are they don't know what to do ever since Godzilla did the first landing. So they're thinking about, okay, you know what, we need to do something. And what I like about Yamane's character is that he doesn't. It's not that he doesn't want to. It's not that he doesn't want to kill Godzilla. It's just that he thinks that if they can study Godzilla, understand Godzilla, you know, and Yamane made a good point, and he mentioned this to Ogata when Ogata was trying to tell him, hey, we think Godzilla should be killed, and then Dr. Yamane said, no, he shouldn't be killed. He should be studied. Why should he? And then Ogata, being stupid, just said, oh no, why should we study him? We should study the fact that why is he resistant to radiation? Why is he resistant to the radiation that could be beneficial to the human race?
Yes.
So that's where I was like, okay, yeah, Okada's, that's his character. Okada's a young guy. He's thinking with his balls and not with his head. But it's like, you know what I mean, man. But oh shit, hold on, what's up? What is up? Film fanatic, my brother. My brother's always repping the big G to the fullest. Much love and respect. Respects to you, badasses. Likewise, my brother. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for the encouragement. Always being the channels.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in also, bro. And everyone who was tuned in, bro. Thank you all, man. Rob, Film Fanatic, Jedi Grand Bell, everyone representing, and everybody always supporting the channel and supporting. Remember, guys, anybody watching, my brother Kevin Lambert just started his channel, Kevin Lambert Entertainment Headquarters. So make sure to subscribe. Look him up, man. So okay, going back to it now. I just say, okay, I was out. Okay, we're at the point where Ogata told Yamane Godzilla should be killed. So now this is the second landing. Godzilla makes landfall again. So he makes landfall a second time, and this time they plan to use the electrical barricade on him.
Yeah, they build them, don't they, like 30 or 50 feet up, because they think, oh, we'll try and electrocute him.
Exactly, and this is also one of the more iconic and my favorite parts of this film, and that's when Godzilla easily breaks through that barricade of electricity and everything. It just looks so realistic, and I like the fact that when Honda and Tsuburaya were coaching Nakajima-san while he was in the suit to say look, I want you to do more aneurysms like a bear or a Komodo dragon or something that's a terrestrial predator. Like do your mannerisms, try to go off of that, and he did fantastic, man. For the first ever use of a man in a monster suit, that was fantastic. And then we go on to from there. Take away from there, brother. After that, right once he breaks through the barricade.
Oh, well, when he breaks through the barricade, obviously, it basically was a waste of time. he, he
Yeah.
basically he smashes through the barricade, he destroys everything, and then you just see the sheer devastation. There's thousands of people killed,
Yep.
and for me, I think that then they start attacking them with jets and things.
Yeah.
They are motivated, he basically just rages rampage, and then he just returns, I think, back to the ocean. And this, for me, is one of the most significant and important parts of this film. Without actually, it's the aftermath of the second landfall, where you see all the injured and the suffering, and you see all the maiming of all the people and the effects that the radiations had on them. And I think you have that scene where you've got the girls singing.
Yeah, the choir. Yeah, there was a choir, and it was the girls singing for the wounded, the people who lost their lives, and yeah, it was very, very, very
Very
impactful, man.
grim, very, and you know
Yeah,
what? I just remember me, my mum, and my brother, like I was saying, sitting in. Like I say, I was 8 year old. I was absolutely loving the monster action, just running round. But it wasn't. But when I got to that scene with the girls singing, and you're seeing the people lying in the beds, like all, you know, absolutely carnage has just happened, and then all of a sudden you hear that the choir and the song and you couldn't hear a pin drop. You just switched off and you were just hypnotized, and you actually made you gain all of the feelings and all of what they were feeling at that time. That's what that particular scene, and it's one of my favourite scenes, is the aftermath.
you hear it. See this man, and seeing the girls after Godzilla had annihilated pretty much Tokyo, and when he first actually showed what his atomic breath could do, was just like, and then hearing the choir, the girls singing in the background, just like you said, it was grim, it was heartfelt, it was it's like they sounded defeated, they sounded crushed. It's like, what else can we do? And this is what leads, man, literally, this song. And when this is already when Emiko had witnessed all of this, she's helping the people who were poisoned by radiation, who were either maimed or couldn't, they were badly injured, and she couldn't take it no more. This is where she tells Ogata, "Look, this I need to tell you, what's happening. I need to tell you what's going on." And but
And
I know,
and Jedi Granville has just made another excellent point. That particular scene with
oh
the
yes,
mother and the
yes,
two, and the cry and the absolutely breaking their hearts. And
yeah,
anybody that's got a child and seeing a child cry during tragedy, it's absolutely heartbreaking. Look what's happening in the world at the minute. You know,
yep,
we've seen on the news today the impact of war, and this was showing you the impact of war, the aftermath of war. It was showing you the impact of the radiation fallout, but in a different, more, science fiction way. But the message was clear.
yeah,
This is what happens, and it was so impactful. And that particular scene that Jedi Granville has mentioned is so important and just as iconic. The choir, the seeing the injured people, seeing, like you said, Emiko wanting to help these people. And that's when we get to the next part of the film, where she promised not to mention anything about what Dr. Zarazawa had been working on.
yep,
And she then decides, we can't let this carry on any longer. We can't
yep,
allow what is happening to our people, our Japanese people. And we can't allow what this creature's doing, this force of nature, to continue, I need to reveal what he's been working on.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
of course, she then obviously tells them about the oxygen destroyer.
Yep. Yep. And he looks, and when Ogata and Emiko go to him, and he looks so crushed, bro, that she had told him. He said, "But look what's going on." I mean, he's like you said, he's probably going through PTSD, and he's very enclosed. He keeps to himself and stuff. So
he's very
and
sheltered.
yeah, and it's like Ogata's literally begging him, like, look, man, we need you. You're the only person that can kill this creature that is causing death and devastation to all of us. And thank you, Jedi Granville, for bringing that up, bro. Thank you guys for always being there. The Sci-Fi Society, everyone, bro. I knew I was gonna forget something, and the girl with the lady with the three girls, man, saying that we will be with Daddy soon. I was like, oh fuck. I was like, God damn, dude. I was like, that was like,
There's
even when I watched it.
There's always iconic lines in Godzilla movies that are so impactful. Like that one,
Yeah.
we will be with Daddy soon. And then, of
Yeah.
course, obviously, if you look at the modern monsterverse, you've got Let Them Fight. You've also got that one where Dr. Zawazawa in the modern monsterverse franchise, where he talks about when they're talking about the Titans, and he goes, oh, what you're trying to do, turn Godzilla into our pet. And he went, no, we will be his. And then most recently, just in the trailer alone for -1, that one particular line where it says, this monster will never forgive us.
He will never forgive us. Yeah. I love it. Love it, bro. Yeah,
Only, and like you see, that film and the buzz that we've heard until we see it ourselves, but that sounds like it's got a very similar tone to 1954. So for me, once again, Godzilla's making an impact, and he's making it in the right way by telling a message and a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And that's what I'm saying. I'm so glad I have you guys here, man. The things I forget, bringing up good points. Me and Kevin already thought about the same thing. This monster will never forgive us, and it's like, and it's just, and it's like I said, man. This film has. It hits it every single aspect of what anybody likes about film. It has everything apart in it. And now, like I said, we'll go back to where I'll leave it to Kevin. Where remember Kevin, where Ogata's literally begging Serizawa to, we need this. So they struggle, they fight. Serizawa accidentally hurts Ogata, and then this is the part where it takes Serizawa to look at what the situation has become, looks at the girls singing the prayer for peace. It was a prayer. I think it was a prayer for peace.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes something like that of a defeated Japan that has already lost. Not only did they lose post-war, but now they're losing everything because of Godzilla. So it takes something like that to change his mind.
I think he has like this aha moment, like a light bulb moment, because he's like, obviously he's got the PTSD from the war, and I think also when that moment happened, he was also being resistant because he felt like Emiko had betrayed him by revealing the information of the oxygen destroyer, and I think he had his heart broken. Because he's going through all this PTSD and he's being betrayed by her. So not only is he dealing with that emotional, aftermath of what he's been through physically and mentally in the war, he finally thought he had someone he could trust, and she's broken his heart. But when, like you see, he sees and he hears the song, he goes, I can actually end this, and by ending this, I could even end my own suffering. that I'm going through myself mentally, emotionally, and that's when I think he decides, yes, I need to do this. And of course, he gets the oxygen destroyer. He agrees that he's willing to release the weapon basically on Godzilla, and
Yeah. Take
so
it from there. Take it from there, man. Take it from there, and then we go to the finale of the
the
film, and
finale's so emotional as well for so many reasons. So yeah, then after he's agreed he's willing to help with the oxygen destroyer, the super weapon that's gonna save the world. He like builds it, he constructs it, and then he then goes to he builds the oxygen destroyer, and then after he builds the oxygen destroyer, he
they go to
basically
sea. Yeah,
they
they
go to
go
the
to sea.
sea.
Yeah, Ogata. I'll just help you out there.
Mm-hmm.
Ogata and Emiko, Dr. Yamani, everybody are, they he in other words, he shows his plan to the world. They set up everything. They take a frigate out to sea, try to locate where Godzilla's at using the Geiger response machine, which checks for radiation. And then they're getting ready, and he really before I give it back to you, he really literally just tells like Ogata, look, I need to do this on my own. This is something I need to do. And Ogata's like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm not gonna let you do it by yourself, because Ogata probably has a. It's like Ogata has a good idea that he knows he wants to do something that he shouldn't be doing, or in other words, he wants to end his suffering. You know what I'm saying? So now
But you
then,
see,
yeah,
we'll go to the what I was trying to see, what I was trying to think how I was going to see it. So after he agrees to help, what he does is he burns his note so no one can actually ever make the oxygen
yeah,
destroyer again,
yeah,
because he realizes if anyone gets his hands on this, it's going to be probably even long after Godzilla's dead. It's going to be
worse. It'll be worse.
it's gonna be worse. It's gonna cause more damage than done, and basically that's what's happened in the world today. We have nuclear weapons. Russia's
Yep.
got them. America's got them. Britain's got them. So that is another great metaphor about he didn't want this to get out of hand, out of control. And you also see Miki will break down in tears when he burns the notes, because on one way it's like a relief to her that he's going to help, and I think she understands his reasoning behind burning the note. And then, like you see, they go out to sea. They're on the ship. He's dressed up in the gear to go down into the ocean. And like you say, he's got this idea. There's something not quite right there with Sarazawa.
Yeah,
And then you have that excellent scene where he goes down into the depths of the ocean, and you basically see Godzilla just walking across the ocean floor. And then you see Zarazawa, and he's got the oxygen destroyer in his hand. And I remember he looks and he says something to Emikyo, I think, via the like basically like a goodbye. He basically says his farewell, and they're like, what you doing? Just let the oxygen destroyer go and then return to the surface. But he decides to stay and to die alongside Godzilla once it's released, and he take his secret to the grave with him.
yep,
But you have that amazing iconic scene when you see the oxygen destroyer all around Godzilla, and then it's, even though you know Godzilla is not, he's just an animal, he's just a force of nature. He did not become what he became on purpose.
yeah,
He's
exactly.
basically what he is. It's what we can make him be.
Yep,
And then you have that basically that gut wrenching, basically agonising cry and roar when you see him rise up, and you hear that agonising roar which sits with you.
yeah,
So as much as he's created all of this destruction, this chaos, you actually have a lot of sympathy for him in the end as well, because they're doing this for our sake, but they're also ending his life at the same time. It's like a double-ended sword. We're ending the chaos of the destruction he's causing, but then we're also having to take away his life.
Yep. Yeah, it's just it was. I mean, it was. Of course, everybody who saw this before they can comprehend what Godzilla was yeah, we all felt you do feel remorseful, but in a way, Godzilla was a victim in a way. Godzilla was just another victim. He wasn't. It wasn't because of it was because, like I said, nuclear fallout or whatever happened there. That they were doing the testing, like I said, with Lucky Dragon and all that. Godzilla was just basically, or could have been created because of us, and then we create him and then we end him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like so he is somewhat of a victim. I can say he is somewhat of a victim.
It reminds me of Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
Dr. Frankenstein was this mad scientist who thought, I'll create this thing and be like, I don't know, like for the greater good. But sometimes some of the most some of the baddest things in life can come out of having good intentions, and
Yeah,
they created this for positive reasons, but then the aftermath is the destruction. And then, of course, just like Frankenstein's monster, who then has to meet his own demise, this force in nature now also has to succumb and obviously be ended as well, because obviously it's for the greater good, like later on, for the rest of the world to be safe. But you do have, just like with Frankenstein's monster, with Godzilla, you have a lot of sympathy for him.
yeah,
Like I said before, because this isn't his fault. He's just doing what he needs to do.
yep,
And
exactly. Before anybody who missed it, let me just show that video again before we get to what happens in Serizawa and the send off they give him. So give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Yeah, just wanted
iconic.
to. Yeah, man, I just wanted to show it because, like I said, Kevin was making good points, and I wanted to show that video that I made just before we finish, get to the end, and especially the look that Dr. Yamane when he takes the hat off for Zerazawa, man, is just that's freaking. It's like that's how much passion and how they put into this project, man, and that's what I love about it, and the fact that Serizawa went out the way he wanted to go out because he had a good idea that they were probably going to find a way to replicate the oxygen destroyer, even if he would have survived. So yeah, man. But I'll leave the rest to Kevin, and then yeah, I'll leave the rest to
Well,
Kevin. Man.
like I've mentioned, the Oxygen Destroyer is released. As you've seen via the video package there, you do then see Godzilla start.
Uh-oh. You there, Kevin?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, little
Hello.
glitch. Yeah, you're here. You're
Can you?
back. You're back. Yes.
Cool. Sorry about that, guys. When you go live, shit can go down.
Right.
But going back to what I was saying, you see Godzilla slowly succumb to the Oxygen Destroyer. And you had, like you see right at the end of your video package here, you had the scene where he heads out the water and he gives one final painful roar. and then you slowly see him when he's back under. You slowly see the scenes of his body disintegrating, where you have that other beautiful shot where you see like basically his skeleton.
Yeah.
And obviously Dr. Sarazawa also succumbs to the power of the oxygen destroyer, and when he succumbs, along goes his secret. He's taking it to the grave with him, basically. And in a way, when you see, like you mentioned, where he takes his hat off after Easter, it's a mark of respect.
Yeah.
But it's not just a mark of respect to say thank you for what you've done. It's also like he's not showing him respect, but he's also in a way, same with Imikio, and when they're on the boat looking down, it's like he's at peace. All that inner turmoil that Sarazawa was feeling, he's now kind of free of it.
Yeah.
And then after that happens, after Godzilla's destroyed, you see them all mourning his death. And then
what's up?
You have this
Go ahead.
You have this conversation right at the end when all's settled and the free of Godzilla. You have that little bit of conversation at the end where they talk about, where they say we believe nuclear testings are going to continue. Yeah. If you remember that, and they also mention that Godzilla may rise again. So that was telling you that this whole story about this iconic creature, this big boy here, this year is basically the nuclear testing. This Godzilla is the metaphor for carrying on nuclear testings, nuclear bombs, and when they say right at the end, he may rise again, they were talking, figuratively of the nuclear testings. And that is the impact of this film. That is what the message was from the beginning to middle of the end, was about the nuclear testings. You see the impact, you see it, you see the actual devastation. We've talked about it from start, middle and end, how you see the mother with the three daughters, you see the people in the villages scalded with the radiation. You then see all of the death and destruction. And that is what this film is about. And that is why in 2005 this film was released on DVD in the British Film Institute. And that was for a limited time only. This film was released in British cinemas, and I got to see this film on the big screen for the first time since 8-year-old in 2005. Now, for those that don't know what the British Film Institution is, they only select certain films that they put in it for iconic reasons, for historical significance.
Yes, exactly.
Films that have made huge impact within the world of cinema. And this, of course, because of its significance, because of its historical value, and the message it was telling about the nuclear fallout and the power of the nuclear bomb, that is why it was inducted into the British Film Institute. And that is why I'm proud to be a fan of this film. That is why I'm proud to always big this film up, because of the importance of this film.
Yep, exactly, man. And I got my copy right here from the Master Collection that I got back in 2007. And I bought it with the whole thing. I bought it with the entire the entire set. And it was like back then it was only $79, but now it's like go for like $300. But yeah, it was man, everything you said, my brother Kevin, is spot on, man. I know the significance why the British Institute did what they did for this film.
The film. It's called the British Film Institute, and it's I bought that because it came out in 2005 on DVD because Blu-ray wasn't out then, I don't think. So I've got this on DVD, and then I've also got it on. I've got the big box set, of course, the Criterion Collection. I've got that.
Yeah,
So,
I got that one too. And I also wanted to
so
add that. I also wanted to add before, like I said, before we call it a night. What I did like also was that Serizawa had already known about Ogata and Emiko.
mhm.
He had already
Yeah,
knew, and he wished them a happy life before he died.
yeah. That's what I was seeing when he was under the water. He knew he was going to sacrifice his life, and he wanted to basically. He didn't want any tension. Like I say, when he decided to end his own life, he wanted inner peace. He wanted to not feel the things he did that he had experienced anymore.
Yeah,
And one of the things he wanted to also do is because I think that Emikio would have been, worried, she would have been stressing about how we were going to tell him how we feel about each other and not him. And he basically give them his blessing. That was his way of saying, you're now free. When I'm free of this, you're now free to live the life that you want to live.
yeah.
With the person that you want to be with.
Yep. No, exactly, bro. And that's what I'm saying, man. And that's why this film has such a special place in our hearts, in my heart. And I wanted to do it, like I said, not only because I wanted to review it myself, but because I wanted to do it with you, because this was your number one. This was your number one favorite Godzilla film, and this is my number two Godzilla favorite film. And man, and like I said, bro, like we broke it down the best we could, man. We had fun doing it. We just the way we get excited about scenes when we go off of each other, when we hear people from chat, the Sci-Fi
Like I
Society.
say, look on the back, that iconic shot of him with the train in his mouth. That for me is one of my all-time favourite shots. It's even on my t-shirt, and you don't get stuff like that. So just one more thing to break it down. Godzilla is a historical significant film. It's about human history within a science fiction tone. It's got people. It's a people story. It's a love story. It's a love triangle story. So it has the human drama as well as the dark tones in the hidden messages, and then of course it has the action, it has the horror, and it has the baddest ass monster on the planet, Godzilla, just tearing shit up. So if you like your stories with true meaning messages in there, you've got that's ticked. If you want human character driven stories, you've got that. Or if you just want a black and white, really good, amazing horror story / science fiction film, this is the one for you.
Yep. This movie has all the elements that anybody could possibly want in a film, minus just a little bit of humor. But that was a point of this film. This point was to send a message, a metaphor, to be what it is today, and that's what it is. It's such a strong metaphor, and it's a message. Even from 1954 and what happened in post-war Japan, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and it just started this whole one movie started the longest going cinematic universe, which is
It's
Godzilla.
the longest, yeah. It's the longest. It's the longest consistent franchise in film history. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I've showed you that one. We've went from him to him.
Yep.
So,
Exactly, man. So there, like I said, guys, there you have it. G freaks and sci-fi fanatics. There is our breakdown, our review of the most iconic, the movie that started it all, epic sci-fi classic, Gojira, 1954. This one, I'm not gonna. I will admit, I usually don't say this much, and I'm very, I'm very straightforward. Yeah, everybody knows I'm raw and real, but I was a bit nervous to do this review because this movie has such a significant tie-in with me, especially in a place in my heart. And I did feel a little pressure to do it, but once I got it going, once I saw the intros, once I started getting, the vibe and gelling with my boy Kevin Lambert, everything just melted away like it did when we were at G Fest. And this film will always have a place at my heart, our hearts. And guys, I want to thank everybody who stopped by: Jedi Grand Bell, Brian Sanchez, Eric Glasgow, my brother, Rob from E.T.N, Film Fanatic, D, my brothers, everyone, Little Loki, everyone who showed up, man. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank, of course, my brother, Kaiju Goodness, Kevin Lambert from Entertainment HQ. Remember, guys, like, share, subscribe to his channel. He's an up and comer. He just started. And remember one thing, guys. We always keep it fucking raw. We always keep it fucking real. Nothing in any kind of videos or streams that I make. You're not gonna see flashiness. You're not gonna see me trying to do more than I should or do this. I'm always gonna be me, 110% fucking me, and everybody who is a part of the Sci-Fi Society. So, guys, thank you again. I hope you all have a good night. My brother Kevin, don't you go anywhere. So, guys, till next time on One with the Sci-Fi Sentry, Jedi Grand Veil will be next. Also, it will be the Omni Viewer, and we'll also be doing Destroy All Monsters at the end of this month.
yeah.
And remember, guys. Well, I got my ticket for freaking -1 on the 30th. So I'm hyped, man. But I hope they do release it in the UK and around where you're at, Kevin Lambert. But guys, we were out. I will see you all. We all keep it real, raw and real, guys. So peace out. Have a good night, guys. Don't go anywhere, Kevin.
I'm still here, and I don't know what the fuck's happened there.
That whole story, like, that's pay-per-view, guys, and you don't get a lot of that stuff.
I'll write a book one day.
Thank you.